be mourning until morning. Mourning until morning. Psalms 30. Look at verse 5. Psalms 30, verse 5. The Bible says, for his anger. Do we want that? No, that's a hot topic. For his anger endureth but a moment. The rest of it says, in his favor, the opposite of his anger, is life. So as far as the heaven's point of view, anger is the opposite of life from God's point of view. What he gives instead of anger is favor, and that produces life. The rest of it, he says, weeping may endure for a night. See, he's put all of these opposites right together and done these analogies. Weeping endures for a night, may endure for a night. But joy, the opposite of weeping, what's it do? Cometh in the morning. Now, I'm just doing a play on words, but it stays consistent through these two chapters. There's morning, and night follows or precedes morning. You don't get the joy until the morning is over, and you can't have the morning until there's a night. So in order to have the joy God intends for us, it requires some weeping. That's not the way man would set up life. We wouldn't. We would say, you accept me and you do the things I like, and I'm just going to dump all the goodies on you, and everybody's going to look at you and get jealous. Wouldn't that spread a kingdom? Sure it would. That's not the way God does it. He wants people interested in righteousness, not worldly goods. So, if you're interested in suffering for him in order to reign with him, then you'll be worthy. Let's see what he says in our passage here. The next verse we'll see is, I'm just skipping through here because we don't have time to go through it verse by verse. Verse 6 to 7. David says, and in my prosperity, we've all been there. You can raise your hand on that. You put your name in that. In my prosperity, I said, a whole bunch of personal pronouns in this, shall never be moved. Now, this is after already understanding the weeping and the mourning and the night and all that stuff. He already figured that out. And it wasn't one verse later he forgot it. I said, in my prosperity, I shall never be moved. Verse 7. Lord, by thy favor, thou hast made my mountain to stand strong. Really? David's got a mountain? I didn't remember him making any mountains. But he thought he had one. He's got a personal pronoun problem here. Let's keep reading. Thou didst hide thy face, and I was troubled. Okay, the importance of David suddenly came to a screeching halt when God quit supporting him. If God doesn't shine his face on us, that's where we end up. Trouble. Sometimes he does that on purpose, and we'll see as we get into this. Sometimes he does that to show us himself and his power. He says, I was troubled. After just saying, my prosperity, I'm so great, and I got a great big mountain, and nobody's going to be able to do anything like this. And then God says, I just got tired of looking at that, and I looked over here, and then all of a sudden his mountain crumbled, and now he's in trouble. Look at chapter 31, verse 9. This is what you do when you get in trouble. You should do. David did it. God intends us to do this. Sometimes he puts trouble or allows trouble in our life, so we'll do this. It doesn't necessarily mean that he's extra mad at you or anything. It's just that he wants you to be directed right back to him. He says, verse 19, have mercy upon me, O Lord, for I am in trouble. Memorize that. You're going to need it. You won't go more than probably a day without needing to repeat that to God. Have what? Not justice. Mercy, mercy, because I'm in trouble. Who did the trouble? Me. I. He's taking responsibility for it now. That's good. What's God do? Let's keep reading. Mine eyes are consumed with grief, yea, my soul and my belly. If you've not been there yet, hold on, you will be. At some point, you'll be overcome with grief. That happens in life. The world gets it too. Now, they'll run to the booze bottle, or they'll run to drugs, or they'll run to expense on things for self, a shopping spree, however they decide to cope. That's not the way a Christian's supposed to do it. We're supposed to run to God. Say, I'm in trouble. Got all this problem, all this grief. Verse 7, Psalms 31:7. He says, I will be glad and rejoice in thy mercy. Good. Okay. He said in verse 9, I'm in trouble. Have mercy. Mercy, mercy. Used to, you would have these wrestling matches, and the person who wanted to tap out, you would have to say, when I was a kid, it would say, uncle. Say, mercy. That is, I'm done. I can't handle this. Give me some help. That's what David's doing right here. Now in verse 7, he says, I will be glad and rejoice. That is, he lost his first cup of joy. He's got to get another one. Just like everybody when they drunk their first cup of coffee. You've got to have this refill. Right. I will rejoice in thy mercy. Good. That's what God gives us as mercy. That's what makes our God so special. He's more special than we would be because he gives mercy. Mercy is given to somebody who does not deserve it. Otherwise, it's justice. Mercy is what you want. Let's keep reading. For thou hast considered my trouble. You know how you get mercy? You get in trouble. He didn't say I'm dumping out mercy on the people who are doing great. Maybe he's added a little extra trouble in your life because he knows you're going to need some extra mercy. That's stuff we don't consider. God's seeing a much bigger puzzle of life than we ever will. We get to heaven one day and we'll see how he's put it all together. We'll be blown away. We see the few things that he does in our life. And probably we get to heaven and there's thousands of them every day that he does for us that we never saw, never knew anything about. He kept us from getting in an accident, kept the robber away from us, all the little things that we would have never even considered. But he's working and doing. Now he says right here, one of the things he does is he gives mercy to people in trouble. So one of the other things he does is he gives some people trouble so he can justify giving them mercy because he's a just God. Look at the rest of it. Thou hast known my soul in adversities. Okay, so he says God is not, when you're having trouble, when you're in adversity, he doesn't ignore you. He knows you. He knows what's going on, and he's keenly aware of our responses, our attitudes, what we think, what we say. That's when it becomes very important because those are the times we have the ability to get extra mercy. Don't ruin it. Look at the next thing we'll see is back up, chapter 30 again, chapter 30, verse 8. Chapter 30, verse 8. He says, I cried, that's that morning, I cried unto thee, O Lord, and unto the Lord I made supplication. Ever made supplication? When I get home, there better be some supplication on the table. No, that's not what that means. Supplication. That's right. Supplication. That's telling God no lies. That's giving him raw reality. That's saying, this is a problem right here. I don't have an answer. Somebody come help me. You're the only thing that can help in this situation. Get down here and do something quickly. That's supplication. That's begging. Let's see him do it. Verse 10. Psalms 30, verse 10. He said, what profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the, that's Psalms 30, verse 9 and 10. I told you 10, verse 9 and 10. What profit is there in my blood when I go down to the pit? Shall the dust praise thee? Shall it declare thy truth? So David is doing something smart here. He's talking to God and he's saying, look, I'm at wit's end. I'm all as good as dead here. And I got a question for you, God. What was the purpose in me even being here? If all you're going to do is destroy me, can a dead David do anything for you? Okay. God's left you on this earth for a reason. If he gives you mercy, if he brings you through trouble, what will you do with it? Will it be worth him bringing you through the trouble? Okay. David's got the right attitude here. If you're going to barter with God, you better know how to do it. He says, bring me up. Don't let me go down to the grave, because there I can't praise you. Right now I have the possibility of praising you. Give me some help. Verse 10. Hear, O Lord. There's no volume button on the Bible. But if there was one, I think that one would be about 10 decibels. Hear, O Lord, and have, there's our word, mercy upon me. Lord, be thou my helper. He doesn't mean my helper, he means my everything. Many times we say, Lord, help, and we don't mean Lord, help. We mean, Lord, do it all. Now, I understand the word, and it's okay to use it. Use help. But as far as the circumstance is really concerned, if we could have done anything, we would have already done it. What we mean by that is we've done everything we know to do. Now we're at the end. Something has got to change, and the only way it can change is if something supernatural steps in and makes a difference. That's what he's saying. Lord, help. Okay, the help he needs is mercy. Look at chapter 31, verse 4. This is how you supplicate. Chapter 31, verse 4. He says, pull me out of the net that they have laid privately for me, for thou art my strength. Now, you don't say pull me out of a net if you're just close to getting in it. No, you say pull me out of the net if you've already gotten entangled in the net. Okay, that's trouble. Trouble. People think that they've got to earn the right to ask God to pull them out of trouble. You don't earn the right. You didn't get saved by your goodness. No, God was seeking the lost, not the deserving. Okay, after you're saved, you're going to fall into trouble of your own doing. You're going to end up in a net that you should have known was sitting there and you tripped over it. Okay, the right response is right here. Pull me out of it. I can't get out. Pull me out of the net they've laid privately for me, for thou art my strength. Verse 10, Psalms 31, verse 10. For my life is spent with grief. David's got some real issues here. They'd send him to a psychiatrist or psychologist or whatever the psych is they send him to. He says, my life is consumed. The one thing that defines my life is grief. Wow. Ever felt that way? Hang on, you will. Everybody's going to go through that. Good thing we got a Bible that gives us a preview of what we should do when we do that, or when we feel that. He says, my years with sighing. Sighing. You ever sighed with no words? It's just life has just wore you out. Grief. That's what he's saying right here. Grief has just overwhelmed me. There's no way to explain it or express it. A sigh is all I can do. Now, there's something going on when that happens. Something happens. We find over in Romans that the Holy Spirit interprets our desires, our unaudible words in heaven with a language that God understands. Now, thankfully, he tweaks it so that it sounds like it should when it reaches heaven. Because some of our sighs are not sighs that should be sighed. They're murmuring and complaining. He says, in my years with sighing, my strength faileth. Here's why. Because of mine iniquity, and my bones are consumed. I want you to just see this. In this whole thing, he's not saying, have mercy, get me out of the net, do me good because I deserve it. No, it's because of mine iniquity. I was stupid. I was an idiot. He's saying, but hey, aren't you a savior? You don't have a job if I don't need saving. I got a perfect candidate for you. I need saving, and you're the savior. We go together. That's what we need. Let's keep reading here. Look at chapter 30, verse 5. Chapter 30, verse 5, the verse we started with. For his anger endureth but a moment, in his favor is life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy cometh in the morning. That's a fact. That's a promise from God. Have you wept all night sometime? Well, you're lying, or just hang on, you will. Weeping might endure for the night. God promises, I'll give joy in the morning. Now, some people, and I'm sure some of these persecuted people in other countries, can say, my night has lasted for 30 years now. And that's true. God's idea of night might be a whole lot longer than ours. But he's promised something there. It doesn't end in weeping. It ends in the morning for a Christian, not for a lost person. A lost person goes from night to outer darkness. That's bad news. Night gets darker and darker. Now for a Christian, he says that we'll get joy in the morning. If there was no night, then there would be no morning. Literally and literally. In your life, you feel like there's times of just night. It's dark. You don't have any answers. It's just, what do I do? You know, nothing is working out. That's night. It's dark. Well, guess what? We got a promise. We got something we can hold on to. There's light coming because there's going to be a morning. And he's promised for us, the morning is going to be joyful. It's going to be good. So there's hope in the night if you can know there's morning. Now imagine at the time they're writing this. How many iPhones did they have? How many smart aleck phones did they have? None. How many watches did they have? 0. You know what they had?
Night and morning.
A sundial. What good's a sundial do you at night? So how do you know how long the night's going to last? You look for the morning star. The morning star tells you it's about to get light. I'm about to get ahead of myself. Let's see if there's anything else I need to tell you on that. I think I just missed that. Okay. In chapter 30, verse 11. Chapter 30, verse 11. He says, Thou hast turned for me my mourning into dancing. Thou hast put off my sackcloth and girded me with gladness. Okay, that's what happens when the morning comes. When the morning comes, all the trappings of the night are gone, and just the opposite is what you enjoy. So it does not matter how bad the night is right now. With however bad it is, it's going to be that extreme on the other side. You know how night is one thing, light is the opposite of night. So will be your circumstances. In chapter 31, verse 13. Chapter 31, verse 13. Here's some of the things that identify you're smack dab in the middle of the night. He says, "For I have heard the slander of many." Ever been slandered? Well, some people have. People saying things about you that are not so, lying about you, slander. I've heard the slander. Then watch what happens next. Fear was on every side. Now, Christians shouldn't be experiencing that. David shouldn't have been experiencing that. But guess what? There's going to be times you do. Doesn't mean you should, but there's going to be, you're human. Sorry. There's a part of you that's perfect. The Spirit of God is in you. That's good. That part of you is perfect. But all the rest of you ain't. Fear was on every side. While they took counsel together against me, they devised to take away my life. Now that's the progression that night tries to impose on a person. Everybody's talking about you. They're lying about you. Nobody understands you. Then it goes on to fear, fear, fear. Everybody's after you. Everybody's after you. Then it goes to they're going to kill me, or I need to kill me. Death becomes the next solution. Verse 14. Here's the proper response. But I trusted in thee, O Lord. I said, thou art my God. He says, I'm not going to play the game. I don't care if it's dark out here. I'm not going to act like it's night. The only way to extinguish the night is turn on the light. Darkness can't compete when you turn a light on. When you turn a light on, the darkness doesn't say, hey, let's make a deal. I'll let you have enough light in that corner over there, but I want to keep it dark. No, it's gone. No negotiation. That's what we do with or we should do with the dark that happens in life, is we say, hey, look, this might be night, but we're not children of the night. We're not going to live like it. He's not playing their game. Look at chapter 31, verse 15. 31, verse 15. David says, they can't kill me. I can't even kill me. Verse 15. My times are in thy hand. The one who is my God, he also controls when I live or when I die. Deliver me from the hand of mine enemies and from them that persecute me. Okay, there's the problem. The problem is these little problems that keep bugging us. Now, to God, it's not a big problem. To us, it's a big problem. These little bitty things that keep nagging you. And the devil knows how to do it. He'll combine 6,100 of them at once. And if you just had one or two of them at a time, it'd be okay. You could manage it. But he'll make them all land on the same day at the same time. Just like the bills. They all come due at the same time. And they all have just, there's no problem if it's just one here and there. But when they all land on the same day, that's the day that you were sick all week and you couldn't go to work. That's the way it is. That's the way the devil knows how to do. When did he go to tempt Jesus? After he'd been fasting 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, he's no dummy. He says in verse 16, David talking to God, make thy face to shine upon thy servant. Save me for thy mercy's sake. There's that mercy again. God is a God of mercy. And therefore, he needs an object to pour his mercy on. If you don't have any trouble, he's not a God of mercy. We need to take that adjective away from him. If you've got trouble and you don't deserve saving, now he can be a God of mercy, giving you something you don't deserve. That's the God we have. Now, this is a view of God that people don't tell you about, but you're going to need to know it because you're going to fall flat on your face at some point. And you're going to need to remember this is who God is. He's not impressed by our righteousness. He's impressed by our cries to him. That's what gets his attention. Psalms 31, verse 20. He says, thou shalt hide them. If you went to the previous verse, he's talking about them that fear thee. In the secret of thy presence from the pride of man. There's a lot in that little bitty phrase, and it's important, so we'll look at it. He's going to hide you where? In the secret of thy presence. So here's what you do when you're in dark night. You go get in his presence. And he said that's a secret hiding spot. Nobody can find you. You need to escape this world. It's not going to be found in the beer bottle. It's going to be found in the secret spot, his presence. You know what else is in his presence? Fullness of joy. Just the opposite of everything this world tries to throw at you. Let's keep reading. Thou shalt keep them secretly in a pavilion from the strife of tongues. There's that slandering. There's that all the threatenings you'll hear throughout life that try to put you in fear. Look at chapter 31, verse 23. He says, O love the Lord, all ye his saints, for the Lord preserveth the faithful, and plentifully rewardeth the proud doer. Now let's look at that for a second. It does not seem fair. Do you see what's not fair about that? He's done all these analogies. When you read through Psalms and you read through Proverbs, those books really should take you a year or two to go through. Nobody's got that much time, but you could take that much time and read it because each word is just full of meaning. And they're all analogies and comparisons. He's comparing something, evil and righteous. One side gets, what do the righteous get? Preserved. What does that mean? Safe. Do what? Kept. Mm-hmm. Preserved. The other side gets what? Plentifully rewarded. Plentifully. Can't say that word. Plentifully. Plentifully. It's like a different language, doesn't it? Plentifully rewarded. That's more than abundant. Wouldn't it be the opposite? Wouldn't the faithful get plentifully preserved? And the evildoer get rewarded? No. This night appears all wrong. Count on it. It's like insurance. Insurance is not designed to make you a killing. It's designed to make you whole, put you back in the position you were. You wreck your car, they shouldn't buy you a new car. You had that car for 4 years, the muffler was falling off. They should buy you another one that's 4 years old with the muffler falling off. Make you whole again, as though nothing had happened. Okay, that's what God does in this life. He gets you through it. You're not supposed to flourish down here. This is not the courts of our God. The courts of our God is where we will flourish. Our future is plentiful. It's just not on this planet. Our end is not here, so you don't see what the end result is. The total hadn't been added up yet. For the lost, his total is added here so he can go to his reward. Hell, outer darkness. Psalms 31, verse 24. Psalms 31, 24. He says, be of good courage. I hate to stop it every second, but this is how I read it. Be of good courage. There's a good courage and there's bad courage. And he wouldn't say be of courage if it was something you didn't need courage for. So in the night, there's going to be times you're going to be afraid, and God's saying, you've got to have courage for this one. So that's life. Be of good courage. And this is what happens. And he shall strengthen your heart. Now, I know what he means there. Spiritually, He's going to give you the strength to have the courage that you're faking like you already have. But I'll bet you it's physical. I'll bet you there's a physical thing to that He actually gives you a better physical heart by having courage, good courage, godly courage. A Christian always comes out ahead. If you'll follow what God says, you'll come out ahead of the world. He says, all ye that hope in the Lord. Now, that sums it up. Hope in the Lord. In this night, it's pure depressing unless you have hope. Unless you have hope, there is just one tragedy after the next. Well, what an uplifting message. That's life. However, not for a Christian. We've been given hope. You know what our hope is? We know what to look for to know that morning is coming. Weeping might endure for the night, but joy is going to come in the morning. In Isaiah 53:3, we're almost done. Isaiah 53:3. Isaiah 53:3. We should be like Jesus Christ. We know that. And He's molding us so that we will be like Jesus Christ. So what did He do when He was in the night period of His life? Isaiah 53:3. He is despised and rejected of men, a man of sorrows. What a way to describe Jesus Christ. And acquainted with grief. Okay, no big deal if you are too. That's life. It wasn't any different for Jesus. You think you're better than Him? You think you deserve more than Him? You don't. But what you do deserve is something the world can't have. Hope. Hope. We've been given an answer. This night's not going to last forever. There's a day coming. Revelation 22. Revelation 22:16. Revelation 22:16. Jesus endured the night. Here's what happens in the morning. I, Jesus, have sent mine angel to testify unto you these things in the churches. I am the root and offspring of David, and the bright and morning star. Okay, he got morning. He went through sorrow, man acquainted with sorrow and grief. And what comes out on the other side of it? Morning, the morning star. They say, now I don't know if this is true, they say that the darkest part of the night is just before the dawn. Who knows? Who wants to stay up and figure that out? That's like the man who said, he was asking the science teacher, does it get light all of a sudden, or does the sun just gradually come up? And he said, well, you do an experiment. So he stayed up all night, and it finally dawned on him. But for a Christian, the morning star is just on the horizon. We've got hope. And soon that morning star is going to grow into the day star. That'll be millennium, a 1,000-year day. Then it's going to burst into the sun of righteousness. For us, it's hope upon hope upon hope. A Christian is the only one that gets evolution. For us, things keep getting better and better. Not for a lost person. They're condemned to entropy. Everything keeps going down, down, down to utter darkness. But in the meantime, until we can get into the daylight in the morning and the brightness and all the goodness, look at Psalms 33. Psalm 33, verse 22. Psalm 33, verse 22. It says, let thy mercy, O Lord, be upon us. How's he going to dole out mercy? According as we hope in thee. You know what hope is? Hope's imagination. Hope's not fact. It's imagination. Now, it may be built on facts, but it's not happened yet, else you don't need to hope for it. You're hoping. Well, we've been given godly facts. And in our life, sometimes they have not happened yet, but we know that we've been promised these things. Well, we can hope in them. That's a sure hope, a steadfast hope. He says, according as we hope in thee. So, to the same degree that you hope in God is how he dumps out mercy, according to the verse. So, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning if you hope. Some people's morning feels brighter than others, I think, according to our passage, because some people hope more than others. There's nothing wrong with getting in the Bible and personalizing it. Now, that's a good thing to do. Put your name in every place you can put it in. God wrote this book to you. Put it in every spot you see it. Everything you can claim, claim it. Otherwise, why did he give it to you? It's just a scholarly school book if all you do is learn doctrines and quote, theology. I mean, anybody can do that. We could do that with the Book of Mormon. This is something different. It's written directly to you and me for life. Right now, everything you face tomorrow and the next day. It's written right here.